All right, the last thing that I want to show you is that you really should pay attention to these documents. So if you look at the Declaration of Independence, um, you can see that a lot of those Enlightenment ideas come into play. So you have this idea of the laws of nature. We have this idea that the social contract theory that we saw with both Locke and Rousseau. So it says it's necessary for people to dissolve political bands which have connected them with another. So the idea that we have kind of come into this contract with another country, and if they're violating our rights, then we have the ability and it's necessary to separate. Again, that idea that all men are created equal, they are endowed by their creator with unalienable rights. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Government is supposed to protect those rights. They have been given that from the consent of the governed. They should be able to institute a new government if, again, that government is not following and practicing and helping their rights. So then this is kind of where they lay out, these are all the things that they did wrong, right? That George, because they're putting all this blame on George, has done. He has obstructed laws. He has called together people that he should not. He's refused to pass laws. He has obstructed justice. He has quartered individuals. And again, that's there. He has basically not given people fair trials. He's cut off trade. He's imposed these various taxes. He has ravaged our coast and burnt our towns. And so they again kind of go into detail that, we attempted to fix this, but we just don't have the option anymore. So they now are going to create the free and independent states. They can levy war. They can create peace. They can contract alliances. They can establish trade. And basically, they can do all of the things that an independent state can. So again, in those concepts of freedom and equality, we see that in this kind of introduction here, he lays that out. But it's a very limited idea of freedom and equality. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, which is going to come from the French Revolution, very, very similar. And again, Jefferson helps write that in that writing. So they are going to say that the National Assembly recognizes and proclaims these various rights through the supreme being. These are the following rights. So men are born and remain free and equal. Social distinctions may be founded only upon the general good. So again, we kind of have this idea of, well, there's equality, but what does that equality mean, right? There's idea of these rights are liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. So pulling back on the Enlightenment, but also pulling back on what we saw with Jefferson. Liberty consists in the freedom to do everything which injures no one else. Hence, the exercise of the natural rights of each man has no limits except those which assure to other members of the society the enjoyment of the same rights. Right? So what does that mean? Every citizen has a right to participate personally or through his representative. No person shall be accused, arrested, or imprisoned except in cases and according to the forms prescribed by law. No one shall be disquieted on account of his opinions, including his religious views. So here we have specific freedoms, right? We have the freedom of speech. We have the freedom of religion. Free communication of ideas and opinions, freedom of the press. Every citizen may accordingly speak, write, and print with freedom, but shall be responsible for such abuses of this freedom as shall be defined by law. So again, we see these concepts that exist in these individual documents and kind of relate to that, but then we also know, understanding the French Revolution, that it becomes much more violent and much more radical than what kind of was expected. The Haitian Constitution that was created in 1804. So you can see that there are various ideas that are set out. One of the first things that they want to do is say that slavery is forever abolished. So it says citizens of Haiti are brothers at home. Equality in the eyes of the law are incontestably acknowledged. There cannot exist titles, advantages, or privileges other than those necessary. So now we have the idea of complete equality among individuals. But we've already kind of talked about what happens here. It talks about fathers and mothers are not permitted to disinherit their children. Every citizen must possess mechanic art. No white man of whatever nation he may be shall be put his foot on this territory with the title of master. It's one and indivisible. Its territory is distributed into 6 military divisions. And so it kind of talks about the various aspects that exists as far as the government is concerned. There's no predominant religion. The freedom of worship is tolerated. So we've got these individual freedoms here, and we have true freedom. But again, we know that Haiti is going to struggle with this. So they might be able to recognize, but even looking at kind of how the government lays things out, very different than what you see with America or with France or with the other states when they create a constitution. So being familiar with the various documents that exist helps you understand what freedom and what equality meant, and what they didn't mean as well, kind of what those limits were.